iPhone 13 mini versus iPhone 14, the brand new iPhone 14. So I'm going to try to be as fair as I can. I've been using this iPhone 14 for a while now, about 2 weeks now. I've used the iPhone 13 mini for over a year, but I just want to be very unbiased and very fair. I don't want to say the overall better phone because both of these phones are really nice. I just want to break down per category which phone is better in which. So let's just start with the obvious. Everyone knows that the battery on this brand new iPhone 14 is going to be way better than the battery on this year-old iPhone 13 mini, whose battery is almost as half as small as this phone's. But I'm going to try to be a little logical here and say the iPhone 13 mini's battery overall is weaker than the iPhone 14's, but you have to understand that the battery also comes with everything else great about this phone. The great compactability, the great cameras, the great usability, the awesome lightness, but also yet premium feeling device. And just the powerhouse that is this iPhone 13 mini, because it is a powerhouse. If you have a 13 mini, you already know what you're getting yourself into, I like to think. And most people do. So the battery obviously is not the best on this 13 mini, and battery life is way better on this 14 here. You have to think what type of phone suits you more. And for me, I've been using this iPhone 14 lately, so I'm really impressed by the battery, of course. If I use the phone for like 3-ish hours, at the end of the night at like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I would still have a battery of maybe 40 to 50%. Now say that I use this phone for maybe 7 hours like I did one day. Even that, 7 hours, generally around the time I stop using this phone, it'll be at 20%. So the clear winner of the battery performance is, of course, this 14 mini because it is bigger and it's got a better battery, that's it. What else is there to say? These are basically the same phone, except one is way more compact than the other. But usability, just like how the iPhone 14's battery is way more impressive than the 13 minis, I could say just the same thing about the iPhone 13 mini's ease of use. Like when I tell you that this phone is so easy to use, of course, all four corners you can touch easily with one hand. Typing is not as bad as most people think. Typing was never really an issue for me. And I do have some decent sized hands, big fat hands I have. For most people, the typing experience is going to be fine. And all the other experiences are going to be fine too. The swiping, the animations, the pressing of buttons. Everything is easy, everything is in reach. And it's a great screen overall to touch. And it is like really a little beast of a phone. Just the only thing holding it back for most people is that battery. But the usability, of course, is way better on this 13 mini. I feel like there's a higher chance of dropping this phone than there is the 13 mini because I've already dropped this, I think, 3 times. And it hasn't cracked, which is good. But I think that has to do with the size of the phone, which I knew when I got it. But that just goes to show you that, the bigger phone is obviously you're going to be more prone to drop it. And compared to this 13 mini, even if I feel like I'm going to drop it, I just catch it before I really do. It's much easier to control and much easier to maneuver in the hand. So, that's why people like it so much, and that's why I liked it. It makes sense that this iPhone 14 is a better performer than the 13 mini. And it really is. It is a better performer than the 13 mini. This 13 mini has an older chip, and then this 14 here has Apple's newest chip. Apps open up generally around the same time, but I noticed that there's less hiccups in apps. There's less, if you say, stutters in apps. Everything seems to be a little snappier. And both of these phones are on the same version of iOS, so everything should be up to date and everything should be just how it is supposed to be on both phones. But with the new processor, I would expect this phone to be a better performer. With that being said, the 13 mini is still, like I said, a beast too. But just know that obviously the newer phone is going to be better in performance. When I tell you that these cameras are virtually identical, I mean it. These cameras are virtually identical, except for the front-facing cameras. I think Apple finally realized that a lot of people are doing a lot of FaceTime, a lot of video conferencing, a lot of taking pictures of their face. And the front-facing camera on this iPhone 14, and I think all of the iPhone 14 series, has had a real upgrade. I won't put it in here because I don't want to scare people, but I took a picture of my face, like real close up, like maybe an inch away, and my face was in focus. I can't say I ever had that with the iPhone 13 mini. If I would get like maybe a few inches from my face, like 5 inches, that's like the maximum focusing distance it would have. But this iPhone 14 here it's gotten a real upgrade in the camera, in the front facing camera. Like if you take selfies on this, they look actually a decent bit better. Not like a crazy difference, but just a decent bit better. And also if you just take regular pictures, the phone processes the pictures a little different on the 14. So you would just have a little more clarity. So I'll take a sample here of both. So we just have like a little more clarity on the 14 series. And I like it. It makes the pictures look sharper. It makes the lines look cleaner. It makes your face look better. But yeah, just keep that in mind that there's an overall clarity bump in most of the pictures that the iPhone 14 takes. Regardless of that, these are actually, I think, basically the same camera. Which camera is better? They're both good. I wouldn't say that the iPhone 14 camera is steps ahead of the iPhone 13 minis, or this one is way worse than this one. There's some minor tweaks to this camera. The front-facing camera has gotten a lot better, but that's about it in terms of cameras. Video too, video looks basically the same for both of these phones. So if you're in the middle of deciding whether to get an iPhone 13 mini because it's cheaper and it's the last iteration of the minis, or to get an iPhone 14 because it's newer and it'll last longer, I would say that these phones are, like I've been saying, virtually identical. And it just comes down to how much of the battery is important to you. If you know that you're going to be using your phone a lot, you're going to rely on it to do important things that pertain to your life, like your job, like something that's very, very important, then obviously, it makes so much sense to go with the newer 14 because it'll last longer. It's going to be more powerful. It can really do more. And as much as I don't like to say it, I think the screen size of the 13 mini, don't get me wrong, it's really nice and it's very convenient. For most people, I think it might be a drawback. It might not be the best phone if you're a serious workhorse. The 14 definitely will. But like I said in the beginning of the video, I love both of these phones. I really like the mini. I really like this 14 too. I really enjoyed using it for the past few weeks. And like I said, they're amazing pieces of tech, and you can't really go wrong with either one.